want to miss it.
I,
Let's say she said she was in New Britain. I'm going to New Britain. My grandkids are up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Want to miss it.
okay. Mm-hmm.
All righty. So I think we're live. All right. So everybody, welcome. Welcome, welcome. This is the Hamden Action Now community conversation on Zoom. And I know everybody's like going, this doesn't look normal. It doesn't look like the usual thing that we do. But we wanted to make sure we had enough slots for everybody to be able to come on and talk. And I know there's going to be more people coming on periodically to join our conversation. So I'm going to kind of go around and kind of introduce everybody. I think Abdul Asmano is on. He's on here as well. So I'm going to go ahead. He doesn't have his camera on, but I'm going to definitely let everybody know he's on. We also have Miss Elizabeth Hayes, who also is in the 5th District, and Lori Sweet, who is the Legislative Council member at large. And we have Seth Rosenthal. He's a part of the 5th District Democratic Town Committee. And Greta Johnson, who is a member of the 3rd District Hamden Democratic Town Committee. So welcome everybody to our talk tonight. The talk tonight is about the Hamden redevelopment or proposed redevelopment of the Hamden former Hamden Middle School building on New Hall Street. From what I've learned since I've come to Hamden, that property's been like that for probably about the better part of 20 years. It's been abandoned. It's city owned. Everybody knows kind of what it looks like. It's blighted. It's now blighted. We rolled over there and took a quick look at it, and it's definitely not anything that it's been sitting in that condition a long time. So it's not really in a great condition. So we want to hear from the neighbors on what your thoughts were for New Horizons, NeighborWorks, New Horizons Mutual Housing, and their proposal, which is going to go before the Legislative Council tomorrow at their meeting, and hear your thoughts. I know we already had a meeting back in March, and I know Hamden actually now promised to host another meeting before the actual meeting, before the actual council votes on the final plan. So, Mrs. Hayes, would you like to go first with your statement, or if one of our counselors would like to go first? I know I'm waiting for Justin Farmer to join. He hasn't joined yet, but I know he wanted to make a statement tonight as well. So just feel free to raise your hand if you would like to make a statement, and I'll give you the floor.
I think the council should go first.
Okay. All right. So Lori Sweeter, Abdul Asmono, would you like to make a statement first? There he is.
Yeah, I'll have my camera on in like one quick second. Got to grab something. But yep, I am Abdul Asmanu. As y'all know, councilman in the 3rd District. And I think I have quite a few concerns and have had quite a few concerns about this project, alongside councilors such as Councilor Sweet and Councilor Farmer. And it's just been in a multitude of areas, whether it's that housing actually meeting the needs of the immediate community, or the supposed community center, which is practically the equivalent of a middle school science classroom to me, or the simple fact that they actually already have a development actually in my district, that they weren't actually able to point out when we asked them where it was about like 2 Saturdays ago. And just taking a decent walk around that area without actually going into any of those units, you can easily see that this property that has been up for no longer than a decade is already deteriorating and falling apart. So when we look at, the idea that, like, yes, affordable housing is great and needed in our community to sustain, our most vulnerable community members, but affordable housing that isn't dignified and offers, the best that we can offer to our community members is something that we should, strongly consider saying no to, because Southern Hamden deserves better than this, in my opinion.
Totally agree. I see that Councilman Justin Farmer has joined, and we'd love to have a statement from you tonight, Mr. Councilor. If you're there?
I'm just getting back in, so give me 2 seconds.
All right. So, Counselor Sweet, would you like to go next with your statement?
Sure. I want to thank you, Rhonda, for hosting this community conversation. I think the most important piece of this is hearing from the community, and it's our responsibility to vote with the community's needs and opinions and with y'all in mind. So I don't want to be too repetitive with Councilman Osmanu, but yes, we have been taking a couple trips to Mutual Housing's property in the 3rd district, very underwhelmed. It looks like even some wrong materials were used. There's rusting. We spoke to some residents. I think the residents of the 5th district deserve much better. And this is not something that I can easily support. So I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. And I would also encourage you, if you are able, to join us tomorrow night via Zoom for the council meeting, so that we can hear more directly from you. I know, Ms. Hayes, you had some trouble connecting at our last meeting. So it is important that your at-large representatives, your in-district representatives hear from you so that we can vote with you in mind. So I just want to thank everybody for everybody's work on this and for being here tonight. And I'm looking forward to hearing from everyone.
Thank you so much, Counselor Sweet. Appreciate you coming and being a part of this. It's in your district. I mean, it's right where you live. It's walking distance from your house, so it's really important. It's also personal, in addition to a professional. Justin, I see you, Counselor Farmer.
Commissioner, no, good evening, everyone. It is good to be in community. I apologize. Crazy time of year, running from one thing to another. I don't know what was said before, so I'll try to be bold and brief. I had concerns about this project when it first came to us, in the sense that, right, I grew up in this community, right? And so people like Miss Hayes, right? Uh, you know, um, I can only think of all the people before who put in work, right, to demand respect and dignity for the community, right? Remember Miss Carroll, right? Will get on her bullhorn and ride around the community, talking about the meetings, right, surrounding the toxic soil. And now we've come to this juncture where, right, we're getting some of the houses fixed that had structural damage, right? We're talking about the Olin Powder Farm. And so now to have this piece of parcel for people to talk about putting in housing that most of the community didn't want, right? Um, and not really coming to the community to ask them what they feel should be there. That was a red flag for me. But then when you add in the fact that the craftsmanship at the other property that they have, right? The lacklusterness to meet with community members to talk about how it's possible to make this project work for the community, and the lack of vision in terms of being prepared for different meetings. Where I remember one meeting, they argued with me on whether the bus whether the bus shelter was on their property or not. And I'm like, are you trying to get money from me to do work in my community and you don't know what infrastructure is part of your parcel or not? Like, cool, we're here to talk about the project. I'm like, hold on, you don't know how many parking spaces there are, right? And so things like that have had me have a sour taste. But just to make something clear, right? I do not believe in housing speculation, right? Newhall is a poorer community, right? We are not banks. I'm not here to advocate for my community to be housing speculators, right? We need deeply affordable housing, but we need deeply affordable housing with respect and dignity. We need deeply affordable housing that's decommodified so that people have opportunities to buy and to have equity, right? We need deeply affordable housing, right? That's social housing that encourages people to be together and encourages people to count on each other and encourages community gardens and walkability, right? And so my problem with this project is not that it's affordable housing in the southern part of town. My problem is it's not done in a way that will bring dignity, right? And without doing that, it has the potentiality to ghettoize the community, right? And so, right, that's my $22.50. I'm hoping that everyone on this call, right, will reach out to community members, make sure people are there to give their dialogue, to give their testimony. But unless something demonstrably changes between now and tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I am a no.
See, thank you so much, Justin, for your words, Counselor Farmer. I'll be formal. Are there, I just wanted to just say that just in my own 2 cents, my $22.50 opinion, you just close your eyes and think about whether or not that blighted out property that's been sitting there for over 20 years, think about that being in Spring Glen and how long it would have lasted over there. Think about that up there in Westwood. Think about the town owning a property that was in this condition, that was blighted out for this many years. It is absolutely disrespectful that it has gone on this long, that you could have just torn it down, level the whole place, just make it all empty and just leave it, empty and maintain, cut the grass, whatever. But to leave that and to talk and to disrespect the homeowners and their property values for this many years, and then to roll in 20 years later with mutual housing, bless their hearts, with the property that they have, that we told them, we were in the Keefe Center, said, the property across the street, is that yours? And they were like, I think so. Yeah. And I'll leave her name. She was there. Y'all know who she was. She was like, it's not really well maintained. And they were like, oh, okay, we're going to talk to our physical plant management staff and let them know that, we need to do better. And then, you just kind of roll by. It's right on Dixwell. It's literally right across the Keefe Center street on Dixwell where we were at this meeting, and they didn't know. And 2-3 weeks has gone by and nothing's been done. There's been no change. There's been, like, wow. Like, you're trying to court us for business. You're trying to, I'm just saying it's really disrespectful. There's no way that would have happened anywhere else but in the Newhall section of Hamden for that property to stay in that condition as long as it did. Ms. Johnson, I see your hand. Go ahead. You can go ahead and unmute.
I came in on the back end of it, but I did come to the meeting, and I did realize that they really did not know anything about anything going on around there. They kind of remind me of Mandy Management, like you just want to plop something somewhere and start making money. That place has been there a very long time. My godmother owns her home, and she's a senior. She's been there for over 30 some odd years. And she said that building has been, and like I said, I've been driving through just like everybody else is saying. I drive through there consistently. It's been there. They could care less. Now, all of a sudden, it's like all you could think of as affordable housing. You can't think of other things that will contribute to bringing money into the community or helping the people that have their homes there already. It just seems to be sad to me that they feel that they can just do whatever they want, because the thing with the App Foundation, it's almost in the same community, no more than like 6 blocks away. You're trying to just deposit negativity into a community that needs to be built up. And it's like they could care less. Now like you said, I come through there has nothing been done. The meeting was how long ago? Maybe a month ago, and at the O'Keefe building with them. They sent people out who had no clue that had no problem shaking their head and said, I don't know. And then they even said that they're a nonprofit and that they won't be making money off of it. Some old drama. Like, so I really didn't like get their whole idea, the ideology of what they're trying to truly do in our community. When they said project, it bothered me because I grew up in the project. So that just the word kind of threw me off. It's like, okay, so are you want to designate certain people into that area? Because I know that they're building up downtown for Yale. So you want to get the people that are not there, put them on the outskirts of, but this is just my thoughts. Put them on the outskirts so you'll build a complex and say it's affordable housing, which it really is not, because affordable for us in that community, because I'm like on the other end, I'm like right there, 2 blocks away. For us, affordable housing is not what they call affordable housing. Market rate housing is not what we would consider market rate housing, especially single parents, especially senior citizens that are on they're collecting Social Security or pensions. They can't afford that. So even if they wanted to sell their homes and move into there's no plan. And I'm just not happy with it. But I'll just sit back and watching because I'm like, wow, this is a bunch of drama, But I just totally agree with Abdul. I totally agree with you guys. And I'm gonna be here. Like I said, I was driving down, but I had to be on this meeting because I'm going to definitely be there and let them know how I feel, especially speaking for my godmother, because she's not happy about it. She was like, oh my God, it's gonna be a whole bunch of people. Then she was talking about the traffic. She was talking about the traffic, the in and out. She was like, so I'm not going to have anywhere to park. They're going to be parking around here in front of my house. And it's going to be a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, God, mommy, I don't know. But she can't come out right now, come out herself. But it seems like they would have did more of a better job getting more of the people in the community out. We got to get more of them out. Get people who are attached to them out so that they can even speak up.
Yeah.
And keep them happening. Yeah.
What time is the meeting tomorrow? Is it 7:00 tomorrow in the council? Okay.
It is 7 o'clock. I'm encouraging, us to put it on the early end of the agenda. Okay. Because there's a lot of council business we have to go through. So it might start a little bit late because we have settlement committee before. And so that's all an executive session. So we'll come into it, come out of it. So hopefully we'll be done with settlement. But 7:15-ish is the latest that I see us starting. And I think this will probably be one of the first items, if not the first item of business for the night.
Let me ask you, are you going to do public comment like you're going to do it at the beginning and then go through the other items, or how is that going to work?
Well, we have some committee business to get done, and then we have our general meeting. So I don't know how the council president wants to do it. I think if anything, we'll try to get through committee meetings, right? Mm-hmm. And then start our general meeting. I don't know. I'm hoping we can be judicious and speedy with our committee meetings, but I want to bet my life on it, right?
Yeah, it could go slow. Yeah.
Well, okay. Government's always fast and efficient.
Anytime after 7:00, we should just tune into the council Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anyone else's hand up to make a statement about the middle school proposed redevelopment? Okay, go ahead, Seth. I see your hand.
Hi. Yeah. So I'm just getting up to speed on this issue, and I apologize for that, actually. But I really appreciate the legwork of the 3 council members who are on the call to go sort of check out the developer. I think a healthy skepticism of developers is really important, and actual data that you can collect on them is even more important. And what you've had to say about this particular developer is really concerning. And I'll just also mention, this is aside from being in my district and very nearby, I went to school there. It was a long time ago. I don't really care to tell people what year, but it was still, I went there for 3 years because it was still a junior high school when I went there. Um, and, as kids, we knew like, oh, this is built on the toxic waste dump and just something needs to be done with it. That's good for the community and that is healthy and worthwhile. And your point also about, would this have sat like this in any other neighborhood in town, and is just of course not. And to the degree that I was involved with previous administrations as supporters of theirs, I take some responsibility for that too. But now that we have new people in charge, I hope as a group, the Legislative Council will make wise decisions about it. And I'd like to support that to the degree that I can.
Sure. There's just so many things you can do over there that could have been done. We were talking before everybody got on about a solar garden or even a solar farm. Since you can't really, there's some areas that the contamination is just too high. Great place for solar panels. You could have them as far as the eye can see all the way back, that you can generate and really to help ease the burden on the grid, especially in the summertime. The summertime, everybody's running their air conditioner like mad because it's hot and our summers are getting hotter. The best way, you could take that whole area and turn it into a whole solar farm, or should have done that, and use it to help offset the power bills down there to that community, or anything. You could have done there's a whole lot of things that could have been done and still can. But we're not looking like that. Ms. Hayes, I know we were talking about solar and renewable energy being used out of that land, the town. And we, I just had a community conversation with the Citizens Climate Lobby about this. The states, the municipalities, the state buildings, all of them should be outfitted with solar at this point. Take some of that infrastructure money that we're getting from the federal government and outfit some of our buildings so we can stop generating all this energy from fossil fuels. But you have to have that discussion on a leadership level, that to be willing to entertain that, because it's so, it would be so awesome if everyone in that area would be able to just benefit from just renewable energy right there in this area, as opposed to this eyesore blighted property that's been owned by the town for 20 years. Totally disrespectful. Who's next?
I was just going to say one last thing. I think this is in general, right? We have a ton of new people to governance, right? We have a ton of new people in leadership positions, right? And so we have to have people who make plans, right? And so the administration has to lay out its vision for what they think the town of Hamden should look like, right? And for the counselors, right, they have to figure out what that vision is, right? I have the privilege of being the longest serving Dem, right? So ironically, I have lots of thoughts, right, compared to some colleagues who have more years of experience in life, right, but haven't been in this arena before. And so we need to redevelop Dixwell, right? We have to get rid of single family homes. We have to get rid of multifamily homes and have mixed housing and mixed businesses on Dixwell, right? Whitneyville, we have to redesign going up Whitney, from Whitney to New Haven to Whitneyville, and then up the rest of Whitney, right? And so we have to have conversations on what our affordable bands are for our neighborhoods, right? because affordability down here is 28,000, right, to $35,000, right?
Right.
Affordability in Spring Glen, right, is going to be like $60,000, right?
To 100
Because, right,
plus.
because AMI is different, right? The area medium income, right? And so we have to have those conversations around town about how do we diversify our housing stock? Where do we have it? How much renting to owner ratio do we want, right? Do we as a community want to be more like Cheshire or more like New Haven, right? And or more like New Haven, right? And so these are the conversations we have to have with each other, and these are the conversations that we have to flush out. And so, you know, I, I we need affordable housing, right? We need deeply affordable housing. I
Yes.
know some people want affordable housing or more housing at any cost. But like 2 months ago, we shut down opportunity to have affordable housing on State Street, right? We said it wasn't appropriate for the community. Right now, I I'm not part of that individual particular community, right? But I think again, it goes back to dignity and respect. And so we got to
Mhm.
figure out how to have these conversations with people before. We have to talk about what type of developments, right? And we have to talk about where we want to do revitalization. If I say tomorrow we have to get rid of single family homes on Dixwell, right? And I proposed, you know, businesses to come in, and I didn't talk to those, you know, those property owners. They would look at me like, well, this is my house, this is where I live, right? And so we have to start to prepare people on what type of changes we need. And so I think Rhonda and Hamden Action Now for being able to facilitate some of that so that we can start to think about what developments where, right? Like the app foundation, right? The app center coming to Newhall, right? In a world, in a universe, right? We could have that conversation. But if we don't have these conversations before the developers are already at our doorsteps, it becomes a lot harder to talk about the merits of projects rather than about people's intentions, right? And so I don't necessarily think there's any ill will from Neighborhood Works. I don't necessarily think there was ill will in terms of having more affordable housing. But I think we have to be more intentional with our conversations. So that's the last you'll hear of me from tonight.
Oh. I agree. I think that, the council and economic development in Hamden, you guys have to kind of drive the bus on what you want economic development to look like. Do you want, grocery stores? Do you want to bring food, fresh food and fruits and meats? Do you want to have mixed commercial with residential, where you have the strip malls on the bottom of high-end stores, and you can house people on the upstairs so they can go downstairs and grocery shop? I just love that. I always love the Whitneyville market. That is like my favorite. You've got condos upstairs. All you have to do is go down with your little shopping bags. They got the most freshest fruits and the awesome meats in there. It's the perfect for me. I love that. I mean, if we could do something like that somewhere in that Dixwell area where you could have, condo or some home ownership or some rentals or a combination, and then underneath having, you know, like a Soup Girl or a Whitneyville supermarket or something like that. Those are great. I mean, those are great options. But again, you have to have leadership that is willing to look and to really be forward thinking as to how we want to kind of renovate and redevelop a community and really develop the economics of the community. And I hope that you can bring some legislation to the town that can actually encourage that will, live beyond your term in office, that you have to start to lay down some ordinances for that. And that's going to be in conjunction with zoning, so that zoning and everybody says, this is what we want this community look like in the future? In the future, we want it to look like this. And then it will. We can't, we've got to figure out what we're going to do with this middle school project. And I don't think that, warehousing, I agree. My argument has always been a no, because we need to do something in addition. And then there was no plan for the gym, the big gym building that's there. That was another issue. You've got the big gym building next door, and they're like, listen, we're not doing anything with it. So the town, y'all will have to figure out what you're going to do. And I'm like, is there a plan for the gym? No plan. So the building, they're going to build housing, put up a fence, and then the gym's still going to just sit there and continue to be blighted. Not good. Anyone else have any more statements they like to make? Go ahead, raise your hand, or just jump right in and unmute, and you can go right on in and start talking. Go ahead, Ms. Hayes.
Well, you've heard my preaching. But anyway, I would like to say this. I agree that we do need affordable housing. But in this area, we can't afford to erect another building because of the devastation. Well, the community is still experiencing the devastation from the remediation of the area. There are a lot of homes. A lot of people don't know this, but there's still a lot of homes that still have contamination underneath around the foundation. There are some homes, and I don't blame the assessment office, but I went into one home, and the basement, to get to the basement, you have to stoop under the waste pipe leading across the basement. And I said to one of the inspector, this is from the company that's doing the work, how was this house assessed? I mean, how did you charge the homeowner taxes? And if no one has seen this, this is a violation, a clear violation. So my suggestion was just to take the house, just take the house, lift the house up, put it on a slab, and close up. Make that a yard, the basement, turn it into a yard, and just add 2 or 3 houses. So the first thing that someone said was, zoning will not allow you to do that. I said, why not? You already have houses that were built on slab or built on asphalt. The condos are for Leader Hill across from Whitney Center. Those condos, they're running like 250, 260, 280. They were built on slab because that was one of the areas where Olden had stored their bullets and stuff. So it's full of lead. So there are no basements over there. So why can't you take some of these older homes, property, and revitalize them, make them anew, especially since we now have this Build Back Better, the infrastructure bill. And in that infrastructure bill, there's money allocated for brownfields and landfills, contaminated landfills. So taking some of that money, we have to apply for it. I would ask, and I will name, excuse me, I don't want to miss anybody's name, but I would ask, the community would ask if Council Justin Farmer for the 5th District, Council at Large Laurie Sweet, Council Osama, right? Am I pronouncing them correctly? Excuse me if I don't.
Yeah, it's Osmanu.
Osmanu. Okay. So what I could suggest, and this is on behalf of the community. Let me see now. Representative Michael D. Agostino, Representative Robin Porter, Senator Jorge Cabrera, Senator Looney, Senator Chris Murphy, Senator Blumenthal, Representative Rosa DeLaura, Lieutenant Governor Susan Beisowitz, and Governor Lamont, also the Attorney General, and the Commissioner Dykes of DEP. The community, this is an ask. If you would help facilitate the process of securing funds for the renewing of the Hamden Newhall community in promoting a healthy environment in which to live, learn, and work. And also, I went around this weekend. I got 195 homeowners or citizens of Hamden in the Newhall community said that they reject putting 87 units onto the former middle school, Michael J. Whalen, at 550 Newhall Street. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to find a way to get that and that to the council members so they can have it for tomorrow?
Yes,
All
I'll
right.
try to get that to him.
Have that for tomorrow. Yeah, because it's just important. I know we want everybody to be aware of the number of people who are really concerned about this project. And the council at large, everybody needs to know what the neighbors want and what they don't want, and they'll tell you what they need. The neighbors will tell you. The folks that live in Newhall, they'll tell you exactly what they need. They don't need anybody else in any other parts of the town telling them what's best for them. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. So I think it's great that you're going to make it clear. The neighbors are going to make it clear what they really want, what they need over here. So that's exciting. Are there any other statements or anything anyone else feels they want to say with regard to the project? No.
Rhonda, I would just add one more thing. We talked really briefly about the community center. So I think some of us were actually in Mutual Housing's community room a couple of years ago, and it was pretty lackluster. There was no chairs, there was no heat. And my concern would be that something small like this would be what was offered to the community in this development. We talked to some residents and they said that it's not a free room, that it actually, you have to pay for it. That doesn't really feel like a community room. I guess it's small on that property on Dixwell. Having talked to them, it didn't sound like they were gonna be providing anything much bigger. And so that to me doesn't seem like they are really looking for a good relationship with the community. I feel like having these conversations have fallen on community members, council members, not the company itself. And I think, it's been brought up before, come into the community, introduce yourself, talk about the project before it gets to this stage. And I understand there's a long history. It's been 6 years and there's new management. So when this is getting picked back up again, do your due diligence, do your work and reach out. And then if there's projects with the gym, work with the administration. So, I don't know if there really is a great compromise for this. Maybe there isn't, but it maybe would have been palatable, I think, if there was something on offer for the community besides a cold, expensive room to rent. So just one more thought about that. I also, Ms. Hayes, would encourage you and anybody else that we can accept public comment by 3 p.m. tomorrow. So if anybody wants to write in, that is also a possibility if maybe coming to the meeting and speaking, doesn't really feel comfortable. That's always an option.
Now, is this going to be an in-person meeting?
It will be on Zoom.
It'll be
on Zoom. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so whatever you're comfortable with, if you're available.
Sure.
I'm comfortable with in-person.
Yes.
I don't want to have any technical difficulties.
Well, one of my biggest concerns was brought up at that meeting, that they plan on coming in and doing a tax abatement. They don't want to pay full property taxes. And, I know that this is how, these kind of development deals are done, but our town is financially in trouble. Putting up infrastructure and giving out tax breaks, property tax relief, when everybody else in the neighborhood doesn't get tax relief, especially over there in N40, which is tax relief plus tax plus a multiplier. It's a slap. It's a slap. It's, we're going to continue to do things again the way it's always been done, where we throw this into a community and then we make the community continue to pay for it. The community is going to be paying for a portion of the police coverage, the street plowing, the capital, the infrastructure, because they're just not going to pay their fair share. And I know that you've probably heard that, oh, this is how these deals are done and they're a nonprofit. Then no, thank you. You must factor in your development plan to pay full property taxes. And I don't think that, which concerns me, that I'm sure that building over on Dixville is not paying full property tax. I promise you, they probably are not. And they've been there for 10 years, not paying the full property taxes on that building in a town with $1 billion of unfunded liabilities. That's a problem. I know we need housing, but they have to factor it in some type of way to at least pay to be a resident in the town of Hamden, like everybody else has got to pay. They don't get any. I don't think, the farmers or the Hayes or the Sweets or anybody in the Rosenthal family are not getting a tax abatement because they're nice people, and they are nice people, but they don't get a nice people tax abatement. They just don't. So no.
I'm gonna get a call tomorrow. Somebody like, oh, and you don't have to pay taxes?
Nope. You're gonna get a bill, a very large one. So and then when we brought it up, they were like, yeah, no, we're not playing. Our plan doesn't include full property taxes. I was like, that's it. Cut the mic. Cut the mic. Discussion's over. Because these are the things that, it's little things like that, but that's a big thing, because the ambulance, the fire department, the police department, the people with the snow plows, the kids that go there, got to go to our schools. They need to pay. They got to pay. So these are just some of the things. So we hope that everybody can, Ms. Hayes, you get that document over with the 195 people who were concerned and are opposed to the council. We find a way to get it into public comment too as well. That'd be really great. If anyone has any other final comments, I know we're coming up on 7:49. I don't want to keep everybody, it's Sunday evening, tomorrow's back to work and school for everybody. So if you have any other comments, if not, I have a little video that I took. I kind of walked through for a couple minutes, just walk through the property. I can share that video if you like. Let's do that. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get it. Can you see that, guys?
Yes.
All right, great. Here we go.
We're at the New Horizons building on Dixville Avenue, and we wanted to come walk by the community room, and there's wires. It looks like somebody's stealing cable or internet, and the wires are just hanging out over here. Not very safe, very poorly maintained. I don't know what to say. The grass is not really cut. This is wire. Somebody's basically stealing something. Some sort of something is being stolen. see. Let's follow the wire. Somebody's house. Totally interesting, right?
So pretty on that.
And this is the back. This is the back. This is the bike trail. But the grass back here, like the place hasn't been maintained well at all. I don't know. Would we be happy having something like this over there at the middle school looking like this? Right, look at this, yeah. Shingles missing from here. The back areas. Got a big old grill back here. I don't know if that's probably allowed. Right close to the building. Interesting, right? Some stairs. Pretty rusty. This is kind of what the property looks like now. I mean, look at the stairs. They're already rusted out. That might not have been a good idea to put metal stairs in. They're all rusted out here. Interesting. All right. Well, that's it. This is Highwood. Might need to be maintained a lot better.
All righty. So that's Highwood. Any thoughts? Any final thoughts on that? I'm a little speechless, but considering we told them across the street from the Keep Center that we were gonna, we were concerned about the conditions of the building that they already have, and like they didn't. And then the really interesting part is you have the police substation literally there, and you see cable lines being run into the community room. Like, wouldn't somebody notice that you'd want to find out, go knock on the apartment and say, you're going to need to get rid of this because this is illegal to start to use the internet cable from the community room. So, Legislative Council, we're going to need you all to make sure that this is the equity comes back to our community over here in Newhall, because I don't think that this is going to be the answer. This new community that's planned without the community involved, this is not going to be the plan. All right. Any final thoughts before we check out? We punch out for tonight? No. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining our community conversation. We really appreciate all you do and all your work and how you're so committed and dedicated to our community. And if you have any questions, or if you just, you can always send an email to hamdenactionnow@gmail.com. We're always taking emails. I know that, we're going to try to do some more community conversations like this on Zoom, where we can, invite a whole bunch of people. I mean, we can get up to 100 people on this call, which is great. Just to hear from the community about various issues. I know there's we're getting some emails about the pending budget that's on the, been a lot of comments about that's been happening. So we might be having a community conversation and hear from the community about how the budget's going to personally affect them if the taxes go up. So we want to talk about that as well. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And then have a great evening. And if you want to check out our Hamden Action Now YouTube channel, this is where this is going to be broadcast. And we'll take it from there. All right.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Thank you for everybody for all your work.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take
everyone.
care.
Thank you.
Night.